Zealand at this present time. Whether it be being spied on, that has been in the news considerably, and information has been spread around nationally for as many of us to form opinions on those subject matters. But specifically in Northland, is that better? Specifically in Northland, the issue of GMOs, which is very much a baby of mine, the changing of the RMA by Amy Adams in relation to how our local councils can function in regards to protecting us from the introduction of outdoor GMOs. The child poverty issue has also been raised locally and nationally in the media of recent times. Issues that have been followed by the government but dealt with on an economic basis rather than a social and local economy basis. My personal feeling is it should be grassroots up. We should be nurturing our own small businesses, supporting each other in whatever means we could have a standard of living which brings back community. I think the corporate jungle out there has really lost its way when it comes to the average Joe blogs. Good intentions may have started a number of decades ago, but it's certainly got lost and very indulgent along the way. Now, if there's anyone here that has a specific issue that they would like to share on a more intimate basis, would you please approach me after the march? Because there may be subject matters that you would like to cover that I will not address at this very moment due to my nerves. Not the most comfortable up here, but I'm really grateful to see your friendly faces. And I hope you enjoy being able to show off your wares that you brought along with you to show the media that Whangarei and Northland really does care. The matches are being held in various different countries around New Zealand. Auckland, of course, will probably be one of the largest. I've attended some of the matches just recently. I attended the Spy rally in Auckland. It was a very stirring event to see all manner of people coming together very peacefully, very cooperatively with each other and sharing their concerns. I think that is the flavour of New Zealand. We have to wake up, we have to start thinking about that quality of life here, taking stock and addressing issues that ordinarily we wouldn't have to if we had a government that literally was listening to us. So, with that in mind, I'd like to invite you all to consider how we're going to move along from here through to Walden Street. We should be travelling down Walden Street, through Denton Street and converging up Rathbone Street and into Laurie Hall Park, where we can have another intimate gathering together. Now, ordinarily we would have liked to have had the roads closed for us to converge and make an even larger statement, but as it stands we are using pedestrian ways. I suggest you follow your wardens to the respective places of crossing, and where at all possible, if you would like to line each side of the road so that we can stay with that community feel without converging on any traffic that may be passing through. Thank you for your time, and let's get rallying!
on me as well.
Stop geoengineering!
I'd like to invite Dr. Pearson if he'd like to share a few words with you. I met him yesterday. He's concerned about the global situation and how it's impacting on other countries, and also the repercussions of its influence on New Zealand and New Zealand politics. Welcome, Doug. Would you like to join me? Yes.
Hi. There you go. This is really serious, guys. This is
G'day everyone, my name's Douglas Pearson. I just had a little sort of rally the other day because, well, I got informed at the last minute that there was going to be a global sort of no war with Syria rally around the world, and I kind of know enough now from what I've seen in the past to not sort of sit by and just let a possibility to go and try and educate people about what's really going on with this invasion. And well, it's a time ago. I won't go into it. I've got a whole lot of leaflets here, and there's a link that you can go to, and there's a couple of documentaries that you would really like to see that kind of want to open my eyes to the whole thing. It's all about America basically trying to prop up an ailing petrodollar. And in the beginning with OPEC, they'd all agreed to trade exclusively with American dollars. They used the help of the Saudis, who were America's puppets in the Middle East, to convince everyone that no oil sales were going to go through unless it was with American dollars. Okay, since then you've got Saddam Hussein. He started trading his oil for the euro, and look what happened to him. Okay, I mean, we can detect a pattern. We've got Gaddafi actually set up a market. He was only going to basically sell and deal with oil with all of the African, and you know what happened to Gaddafi next? Iran has set up a system where they're only going to sell and deal in oil with gold. No more American dollar. The biggest sort of loss that the Americans are going to have from this is the fact that the value to their dollar is just going to plummet. Now, Syria is Iran's major sort of ally here. I mean, these guys are super tight, so if anyone goes into Syria, Iran is going to get drawn in. And the Americans know this. They're after Iran because they are going to be dealing in gold. Okay. So, I mean, there's no smoking pistol at the moment. They obviously want to go, and it's already been sorted out. Iran has said that they are going to join in the fight if Syria is attacked. They're going to obliterate Israel, and this is going to set off a major catastrophe here. You've got Russia, who basically says, and China, who say, I mean, Iran is their last major ally. I mean, these guys basically deal in billions of dollars in munitions and all kinds of things with Russia, and Russia will not actually tolerate anyone going into Syria and attacking Iran. So, I mean, you can kind of see a pattern here. And on the flyers, there's a couple of documentaries that you might want to check out. I mean, my eyes were open, and I'm just a normal Kiwi, you know what I mean? And I've travelled and seen how the other half live. I've been lucky enough to do that. But this is serious, okay? This is going to kick off something that's going to affect all of us. And we won't be able to sit in our 100% little pure bubble that we've got here in New Zealand, because ultimately it is going to affect the entire world. I don't want to be a scaremonger, but this could be the tipping point into another world war.
You're right.
Yeah, and it's really, and for anyone not to be able to act or something like that, it's bad. But anyway, thanks for your help. If you want to check out the flyer, I'm talking to a friend. We're going to set up an evening, hopefully in the old library, so we can put a couple of these documentaries on, and you can just basically have a look for yourself and make your own mind up. And if you feel compelled as much as I do, as one person, you know, to try and tell everybody else, then I'd just love some type of chain reaction and a new consciousness that could sweep everybody, you know, and make a difference, because they're not going to stop. You can see with this whole flippin' spy thing carrying on, New Zealand used to be, you know, New Zealand's the perfect little guinea pig for all new technologies that come through, FPOS and whatnot, and now they're eroding our civil liberties, and they're not going to stop. What's going to be left for your kids?
Nothing.
Yeah. I better stop before I get all teary. I'm going to stop. Thanks.
Very important time for all of us to take account of what's happening around us and start making different choices. Zelka from GE Northland would love to share some words with you at this time. I'd like to welcome her. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Today, in support of her and all the issues she's raising, toxic mining, genetic engineering, asset sales, and spy bill, among many other things. Just want to let everybody know that the National Party, in addition to all their other dodgy policies, are moving right now to pass legislation to block the good work of our councils. So all the councils from South Auckland,
I don't do Facebook. I think you'd be able to.
from South Auckland to Chemtrails are working to ban all outdoor use of GMOs, and John Key and his mates are working to change the legislation to stop them. So keep your eyes peeled, and we'll be putting together some key points and working with all of our councils and all the iwi authorities of Taitokerau to make substantive submissions to stop them in their tracks. Thank you so much for your support. Now I'd like to introduce my mate Aaron Edwards. He's going to say a few words. Aaron is a Whangarei District Councillor and the WDC representative on the Inter-Council Working Party on GMO risk evaluation and management options.
Right, thank you, Zelka. Thanks everyone for coming out. As Zelka mentioned, I am the WDC's representative on the Inter-Council Working Party on Genetic Engineering. The Whangarei District Council, along with other Northland councils, has worked over a number of years to get ourselves to a point where we're just about ready to actually implement some effective protections for our primary industries. And right at this moment, the national government is stepping in to change the rules so that we can't do that. Now, your representatives here at the Whangarei District Council voted unanimously to pursue this option after advice from the former minister, who said this is the path to effective protection, laid it out for us. We followed their rules, we've done the work and we've done the research, and now we're ready to go. And they're turning around and they're telling us, no, this is not what we want, and this is not what you're going to do. That is absolutely disgusting. It is one thing for a government to say to a local authority, no, you do not have responsibility and you do not have control over this issue. It is another thing entirely to send you down one path, and when you're right about to the point to deliver to the people what they've asked for over many years, and then tell us, no, you can't do it. This government is absolutely disgusting. So what we need to do in Northland, and particularly with local authorities, is we need to carry on our strong advocacy on this issue, and we need to pursue effective protections. Unfortunately, for a number of reasons, I'm not going to be a representative on WDC in the next term, and I'm not going to be able to continue the work with the Inter-Council Working Party. But we need someone with a strong voice and a passion for the environment and a passion for sustainability to take on this work. And if you'll permit a shameless political plug in a rally such as this, I'd like to introduce you to a very, very strong person with a great passion for the environment, and someone who I believe would be a perfect person to take on this role. Ladies and gentlemen, Jess Morgan, who is running for WDC in the Okata ward.
Hi everybody, thanks a lot for all turning up today. This is amazing to see this much support for issues that are so important to all of us. So like Aaron said, I hope to fill his shoes, and they're pretty big shoes to fill, I'll have to say that. But I stand right behind him on the issues with GE being completely inappropriate to test in New Zealand. We're an island. We're the ideal place to test GE free while the rest of the world does whatever they like. We've got the opportunity here to keep ourselves separate from whatever disaster GE is really going to cause out there. And so with your votes, local government, national government, make sure that you really look at the people that you're voting for and make sure that you can see that their policies are going to support what you stand for. Make sure you vote, make sure it counts.
Hey, it's good to see you all here and thanks for coming. I'm not running for council or anything like that, or mayor, but I am on Mine Watch Northland, and just thought I'd say a few words about what's happening on the mining front. Simon Bridges apparently appeared at a hui recently up north and basically said that mining is going to happen essentially no matter what anyone thinks, and that it is going to start in Puipui. He was referring really to gold mining of gold from hard rock, and Puipui, we understand, is an ideal place for this to happen. Within the next 2 to 3 months, we actually expect some drilling rigs to turn up in Puipui, and we've been doing quite a lot of work about how we might stop that happening. One of the things we really need to know, or that I really need to know, is how much water does this drilling process use, because if we can find out that it uses, as I suspect, more than a certain amount of water, then we can probably stop them, or at least throw a big spanner in their works and hold them up for a long time. And every time we hold them up like that, it costs them more money and make it harder. And at the moment, actually, the price of gold is dropping as well, so it just makes it less and less likely that they can mine. If they do end up mining in a place like Puipui, it's 150 kilometres upstream of the Kaipara Harbour, which is a major salmon, snapper spawning ground. I understand it's one of the biggest in the southern hemisphere, if not the biggest. And the process they would use basically involves crushing the rock into a dust, treating it with cyanide, pulling out the gold, and unfortunately what also happens is you also get mercury, arsenic, cadmium, copper, all sorts of other toxic metals come out and then into the water, end up in the water, and because of the process they use, it also ends up very acidic, and the heavy metals will continue spewing into the waterways for decades, possibly for hundreds of years. And this is the biggest catchment in Northland we're talking about here, and they're talking about mining right at the very top of the catchment. And just a final word about that, the government wholeheartedly supports this, the national government. So if any one of you has ever worked on a drilling rig and knows a bit about the processes that are used, can you please come and see me? And if you want to support anything that Mine Watch Northland does, ditto as well, because the government's keeping us very busy at the moment. Thank you.
Lovely speakers, haven't we, informing us as to what's actually happening within our community. I've got another gentleman here who would like to share a few words with you, called Albie Barr from the Save the Railway campaign.
Thank you all you good people for turning up today for various causes of that. I'm Albie Barr from the Rail and Maritime Transport Union. Okay, it's been a great effort by everyone to save the Northland Rail. This national government wanted to close rail up here. The line's still under review at the moment. Okay, so what we've done recently for our branch, we've motioned forward and it's been agreed upon that next summer we're going to put on a function for all the supporters to save Northland Rail. That'll be in the summer. We'll put on a hangi, Moana, band, good music and that, and a good family day out. So be in touch, we'll see that. We're very grateful. I've only been here 6 months with the national government's restructure. We've cut jobs. I've relocated north here. I'm a bridge builder, blue collar worker. Very proud of that. I wear 2 hats, also the representative to the Labour Party here. So I just see this morning, I'll just give a plug to those candidates. They're having a meeting tomorrow. I know there are Labor members here, Labor supporters. Okay, that meeting's at 6 o'clock. It's a democracy, it's the first time. There's been a remit from an elderly gentleman in Cambridge, put a remit forward for 25 years that actually the membership have a vote, not just the caucus. Alright, so tomorrow we'll have people exercising their right to vote. And David Cullen's come out strongly this morning to say that they will fund the rail link so that we keep rail here and to make sure that we get the trucks and that off the road. Okay, so I'd like to thank you all very much. For those people that are standing for local body elections and that, okay, if you want to see me afterwards, we're having an affiliates meeting on Tuesday. We will be putting out a critique on notice boards to all our membership. Who's left leaning, okay, because we need to get some good people into council on that, away from, you know, the rich listers and that are dominating councils and enforcing things that is not democratic upon our people. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Repeat what Dean was talking about the gold mining. We don't call it gold mining, it's toxic mining, and it's sort of supported by toxic politicians, toxic Phil Heatley, toxic national government. We've got Shane Jones supporting the toxic mining as well for Labour. So we can't just hang around and wait for a change of government if that's likely to happen. Shane Jones is 100% behind this toxic mining, okay? Up at Whangarei, November time, Canadian company overseas is going to start exploring. The only way we're going to stop this is if we show a real sign of protest against it, okay? We can't wait for people like the council, the Labour Party or any other sort of political party to actually help us. It's in our community. If you've been down to Waihi, massive toxic waste dams there, 200 to 300 years. They're going to be toxic. That's what they're going to be producing up at Pui unless we put a stop to it. Mine Watch Northland, we've got a website. If you want to be on the mailing list to make which we mail out to, then if you go to the Mine Watch Northland, we'll add you to the email list and we'll keep you informed about when these companies are going to arrive. Okay, thanks for your time.
Yeah, we really need to change the way that we're doing things. The idea of borrowing money and trying to create growth can, we can really only pay off the debt of the loans if we have a growing economy. But when the economy sort of stalls, the debt just accumulates. So we have to think of different ways of fulfilling our social needs. I'd like to draw your attention to the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. I don't really know an awful lot about it, but I suggest that you find out for yourselves, and there's plenty of very good YouTubes about the TPPA. But basically, the TPPA, it's sold as a trade agreement, and in fact it's actually an agreement to protect the investors' rights. When people bring money over to invest in different industries within the group of countries that have signed up to this agreement, they want to be able to override all of the national and local laws in those countries when it comes to things like labour rights, environmental laws, legislation, and to be able to do whatever they want with their money and finance as far as moving it in and out of the country. So we need to find out more about this and educate people. It's going to affect the way local government operates, because local government won't be able to impose environmental protection on foreign investors. And if they do attempt to do that, the foreign investors can take the council or the central government to court, to a tribunal held offshore and basically run by private corporations, with the outcome being sort of a foregone conclusion.
I'd like to read this to you. This is from George Soros. George Soros is an international financier. He said, perhaps the greatest threat to freedom and democracy in the world today comes from the unholy alliances between government and business. This is not a new phenomenon. It used to be called fascism. The outward appearances of the democratic processes are observed, but the power of the state are diverted to the benefit of private interests. And that comes from George Soros. He is big enough to take down the Asian economy a few years ago when the Asian tiger crashed. So, you know, we've got to be, we've got to be, I don't like using the word innovative because that's been taken over by the far right. We've got to be creative, and we've got to think of new ways of doing things, and this is really just the beginning. We're really we're preaching to the converted, and we really have to get these messages out into the broader community, and I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you, David. Well, we've had some wonderful speakers giving us some very clear information that we can take home with us and spread the word, and over the next coming months or weeks, in fact, we can deliberate as to where we want to take this country and what sort of steps we want to make collectively. Nationwide, as you're aware, and as I'm repeating myself, I know, we have rallies externally. If you hook up with Facebook, which has been the parent of this rally, there will be information and all sorts of feeds through as to local news and international news on the issues that we've touched on today. We have to make a difference in our communities. We have to make a difference in our country. If we can't rely on our government, we've got to take our power back. There has to be some answers, and we cannot leave it at passivity. I thank you for coming. I'm really grateful for your support, and thanks for making it easy for me. Give yourselves a clap.